thank you for being here. There's nothing more important to the success of the city, of any city, than the education of its students, the education of its young people, because that's what prepares the city for future success and ensures the strength of the city. And it's important that we all value the process, the work that it takes in order to ensure strong educational opportunity for students. And as Curtis mentioned, for me, it's quite simple. We want every student to thrive. What that simply means is that we want our students to, 100% of our students to graduate high school as caring, competent, fully informed, critical thinkers who are prepared for college, career, and community success, and have fun. It's extremely important that we remember that. For me, it's deeply personal. I remember being a young man, young boy, I thought I was a man, with my mother in Wichita as the oldest, and we moved all the time. Didn't have a lot, and I didn't know that then because the people who were around me, they didn't have a lot either. But I remember what we were dealing with, the stress that I felt. And it's funny, you're looking back now, you know what that was, that stress. You're always worried. 6, 7-year-old, you're worried if the lights are going to be on. You're worried about what type of emotional state your parents are going to be in. Knowing that you needed to get your work done while you had the time outside of home because of how much was expected of you in the home. And I remember 1980 coming home one day from school, and we got my uncle who drove a truck, he was there to pick us up, and he moved us from Wichita, Kansas to Lincoln, Nebraska. Everything left behind, and we're moving. And I remember when I enrolled in school in Lincoln, Nebraska, I was struck by the difference. When I was in Wichita, families had to buy the supplies for school. So if you wanted pencils or pens, crayons, think about it, what young people need, scissors, the different notebook papers, remember handwriting class? The parents had to buy that. And I always wanted the big box of crayons. You remember the 64 box? Yeah. It had the sharpener in the back. Remember that? I wanted that. But I couldn't get the big box of crayons. I got the 8 box of crayons. Mother was like, look, there's only a few colors. You need gray, you just put some white and some black on there, that's gray. I learned how to mix colors so quickly, I knew what made what. I moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, and I get there and my mother's asking them, well, what supplies do I need to buy? And they were saying, they looked perplexed. Supplies, well, yeah, you know, crayons and scissors and paper and, you know, those big fat pens that pencils we used to write with. They said, well, no, we supply crayons, paper, pencils. We supply all the materials. He just needs to show up. And I remember getting to school and I'm thinking, man, at this school, everybody has 64 box of crayons. This is pretty cool. Well, for our students, it's not crayons. Maybe it's computers, maybe it's books. I was with a group of students at Castlemont. They were telling me they love their photography class. They can't wait till they get cameras. I think they have cameras now. Actually, I know they have cameras now. It is ensuring that they have opportunities that any student in this country should expect to have. And that's what we want to do, and that's what this time is for. And so when we talk about thriving, that's what we're trying to get at, that they have what they need in order to be successful. So for us, what we know is that we can achieve this vision if our students are attending a safe, clean school with a healthy, supportive environment. And they only do that if we prioritize those things. If we say that we're going to find a way to ensure that every student has those things. And you'll get an opportunity today to go through the budget and hear some conversations, and as we go through this process over the next several weeks, you'll get an opportunity to hear where we're at, and you get an opportunity to inform where we should be here. Healthy and supportive environment. Folks, that speaks to the people who they meet and greet while they're at school, speaks to the messages, the inspiration they get, but it also speaks to what they consume and what we feed them to help them get through the day. All of those things are important, that they acquire the knowledge and skills necessary for success in college, career, and their daily lives. We want to help our young people know that you're going to be with us but for a short time. But what you do during this time can propel you for success in the future. Folks, I've met students who graduated from Oakland Unified who were doing some amazing things. And regardless of the career you can think of, they're doing it. So it is certainly possible for all our students in our schools to achieve the greatest of accomplishments because it's been done by individuals before them. What we want to do is to say that that's available for every child, which quite frankly for most of the countries, about all the country, that has never been the expectation for real as it relates to every child. And in order to do that, it requires very tough decisions to make that situation happen, and that's why it's not being realized around most of the country, because people many times are afraid to deal with those realities, those tough situations. Students need to receive effective instruction in every classroom, every day. I mean, this is pretty straightforward, but we have to make sure that that happens. From the moment they walk in the room till the moment it's time to leave, not 5 minutes before. We don't have 10 minutes to wait and get situated. We need to make sure they come in ready. As my mother used to say, you know, you up there, you at that schoolhouse to take care of business. And you can't be wasting time. And so we want to make sure that we are positioning our students and our staff to be as successful as possible in that regard. We need to make sure that our people are collaborating and they're supported by a full-service community district. Folks, we have to recognize that our students come to us with needs beyond the education that we provide, the academic education. We want to make sure that they come and they find the supports, their families can find the supports that they need, so they can access the system but also be successful in their homes, in their daily lives, so that they can support our students. And so we never want to be afraid of saying that. Actually, I think many districts have had conversations, are we about academics or are we about the social emotional? Well, both. We have to do both. We can't get the academics without caring about the social emotional. We can't get the academics without wrapping our arms as a collective community around our students. And then finally, we have to be accountable, and that's what this LCAP opportunity and these engagements are so about and so important for us, is an opportunity to be accountable, to be fully transparent in terms of where resources are and all of that. Folks, a few things, just a few questions here we need to think about. How do we make sure that our students are first? For me, I'm be honest with you, I care about everybody. Everyone's important. But for me, as we relate to the school system, the students, that's where my mind is at. 100% of the time. Because at the end of the day, we have to ensure that they're successful. And if that means, last night I had an opportunity to watch the students over at McClymonds, and they were playing football, and they were playing it very well. And I was enjoying it, and what I enjoyed the most is this story about the cheerleaders at McClymonds. And I was told initially, the first game, there were only a handful of cheerleaders out there. They had a full cheerleading team, it was like 25 of them. But they only had a handful that could participate the first game. But rather than kick them all off because their grades weren't good enough, They established an opportunity for them to sit in the stands together, and they gave them something to do with the games. They said, you can't get on the field until you can perform to expectations in the classroom. I was there last night, and there were about 25, 30 young ladies on the field cheering. They said to me, is not only are those young ladies meeting the expectation, that they're all over 3.0 GPA right now. All of them. That's accountability. That is saying that we expect them to be successful and we're going to put students first. We also have to ask, how do we ensure every student has access to a high quality school? How do we honor our financial commitments and fiscal responsibilities? How do we work in collaboration with community to drive student outcomes? And then how do we know when we're successful? These are the types of questions that we ask you, because what we want to commit is this idea that these are the answer to these questions we should know and we should become committed to. College and career for all. I make no mistake, I don't run from the idea of college and career for every kid. Some people say or. Some people say, well, they're not all going to go. I don't enter that type of logic, because I believe that our students deserve what's available for the most well-resourced community in this country, the most affluent community in this country. And I guarantee you, in those communities, no one sees a kid at 6 or 7 years old and starts talking to them about all the reasons why they won't go to college. The young person, they'll make a decision when they're 18, 19, 20 years old, but they need to be positioned to make a decision. We can't make it for them because we did not resource them. We did not prepare them to have a choice to go to a 4-year school, to go to a 2-year program, a certificated program, military service, educated through an employer that leads to a viable career. We have to give students that opportunity, and it's for everyone. It's for everyone. As I tell many young people, if you know what it was like, you'd want to be there. You'd want to be there. What type you want to go to? Well, I want you to go someplace that's not going to try to take your money and that is committed to making sure you finish. Those are the things that are extremely important, and don't run from it. And I say that very strongly because as soon as you put the or in there, that's doubt. And I've met a lot of well-meaning people who do that. And from where I sat as a young person, I saw my friends take that or. And I saw what that meant for them the rest of their lives and how much they're struggling with those decisions now. I was fortunate enough to have a mother say, there's no or, you will be there. So what does Measure In do, folks? It's really important that we understand Measure In and just understand this piece here and just strengthening transition from 8th to 9th grade. Folks, across the country, most students are lost in high school between this transition. It's not that they don't show up to high school, it's just they don't finish. They drop out in 9th grade year. So we want to make sure that this transition is really strong, and Measure In is going to support that. Also decrease dropout rates in the achievement gap. Whether we're talking about African American males or Latino males, whether we're talking about Asian Pacific Islanders or African American females, whether we're talking about our special education students or English language learners, we need to make sure that we are focused on ensuring that all of our students are successful. And then increasing graduation and college readiness. So how does it work? It expands the base of funding by $1,000 per student. For our high school students, $13 million annually over 10 years. Beyond 10 years, the voters would have to vote again to extend that. Supports the implementation of rigorous career line linked learning pathways that are proven. Folks, our students, and we have data to show that our students who are in these linked learning pathways across every demographic group, everyone is performing significantly higher. They graduate at much higher rates. They get fewer suspensions. Much higher. They tend to be more actively involved and engaged. Their academic progress is much higher. If it's good for some, it's good for all. And what we're saying is we want to make sure that all students have that opportunity to measure in, if that's what that's about. And then it keeps the funding focused at schools, 90% in schools, 10% in school support, making sure that we are focused on fulfilling the obligations within the measure. So, folks, how have I been spending my time? We're gearing up towards November. Been doing a lot of listening. As Curtis Saricki mentioned, I have had an opportunity to meet with several students. I still have more engagements coming with students. And this is not just about the first 100 days. As I said to the students, actually, I like meeting with students. So we will continue that because that keeps me grounded in terms of what the realities are for young people today. But also I've been meeting with leaders and community groups and just a number of folks since the beginning of May, trying to understand the perspectives of individuals in the district. Sharing, trying to share my passion, trying to share what I know works, trying to share that it's important to set the bar high. As the saying goes, no one rises to low expectations. So that sharing piece is important, and just trying to be as clear as possible that there are many things that I can accept, but lowering an expectation is not one of them. And just trying to be clear. I am who I am. One of the people who know me, they know that I'm pretty straightforward, very passionate. I also believe in the success of young people because I've seen them do it. I've seen young people be successful when others thought that they couldn't or gave reasons as to why they shouldn't. Study. Been really trying to understand as much as I can about Oakland. I am a social scientist. I love social science. So just the engagement, the passion, the history, the activism, all of that, but also the pride that's in the city. It's infectious, it's contagious, it's inspiring, and what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are contributing to it, partnering. Really trying to identify those like-minded individuals, those like-minded organizations, the individuals within our district. Folks, I had an opportunity to visit a classroom, a sixth grade classroom last week, and I walked in, I mentioned this at the board meeting, and was just like, I can stay in here all day. It was just a tremendous classroom, tremendous learning opportunities for our students, and we're saying we want that to be spread throughout the district and just be known and say that if you want to see great opportunities and see high engagement, individuals really teaching kids, students really challenging, come to Oakland. And then planning. It's been extremely important. So, been engaged in studying, understanding the strategic plan. A lot of work was done, a lot of really important work, listening, involved in the LCAP engagements. Folks, we have a listening campaign again. It'll continue all year. And then in November, coming forth, and you see, essentially you see 5 slots there. We have a great strategic plan. It will propel us into the future for the next 20 years to do it well. That's if our intention is to do it well. But what I know is that there are a lot of things in there. And what I know about great organizations is they have a focus on a few priorities. And they put their full attention there. But the way you know it's a priority is that the majority of their time and their money goes there. And then they come back and they look and they ask, should these continue to be our priorities going forward the next section of time? And that's where we're headed. That's what we want to do. Say that there are many things that we can do. All of them are important. All of them are great. But in building a house, let's build a foundation and make sure it's a very strong one so that we can put in all the other things that we need to do. Why are we doing this? So that every student thrives. Folks, now I happen to, I don't know, I'll just say this. I happen to love my Sunday mornings, and I happen to love participation. So just to get your juices ready, because they're getting ready to participate, right? They're going to have some conversations. Okay. I love participation. So what that means is this. You're going to have to say something to me, and then I'll end it. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to stand up. Now what I'd like for you to do is I would like for you, the individuals in your area, I'd like you to just turn to them and just tell them, I believe in Oakland students. I am committed to their success. I believe in their teachers. I believe in their parents. And I believe in their community. Our students come with great, great talents. And I am an important contributor to their success. I will be fully engaged to ensure that every student thrives. Folks, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the morning.